Tui a te rangi e tui honei, tui a te papa e takoto nei ti hei maurero. E te winau mai whakatau mai rā ki tēnei papahotanga e ki ko whanake a ringa puoro, proudly presented by the team at CubaDupa, Creative Capital Arts Trust, with support from the New Zealand Music Commission and te Māngai Pāho. It's all about Māori music and enticing whānau communities out there to compose in our beautiful reo rangatira, of course, one of our reo official languages of Aotearoa. And joining me on the panel today and proudly representing Te Māngai Pāho is Mātanga Pūro Nadia Marsh. Tēnā koe Nadia, thanks for joining us. And for those that don't know about Te Māngai Pāho, tell us a bit more.
Yeah, we're a funding agency. We receive our money from the government and our funding goes to funding te reo Māori content for broadcast. So Te Māngai Pāho, as I mentioned, is a government funding agency. In my portfolio, I look after music, and the vision for reo Māori music in Aotearoa is whea te reo Māori everywhere. Pretty simple, but there are two key points to making this happen. The first is we need attitudes to change towards whea te reo Māori. Second important part is you. We need artists, we need creators making whea te reo Māori in styles for all New Zealand. So R&B, reggae, hip hop, what else is there? All of them, opera, country music. Our funding is for you. We've taken a four-prong approach to funding whea te reo Māori. The first is to fund the artists and producers of songs in te reo Māori, and that money can be used for releasing and promoting the song as well. We also fund music organisations and communities to run their own initiatives, things like Apa Reo Māori Song Hubs, TVNZ's Pura Pura Whetū. We also assisted with that, and those platforms help to promote your song. And then lastly, it's us. What can we do in our mahi at Te Māngai Pāho? Well, firstly, we can make the funding a little bit easier for you to get. Can't give it away, but what we can do is keep our administration as simple as possible. And we've made moves over the last couple of years to do that. And all of this is to get your waiata onto the New Zealand top 10 Te Reo Māori singles chart. Here are a few people that we've funded proudly. Rob Ruha, Ray in there, we've got Ia. And these are some of the initiatives that we've funded. What we can control at Te Māngai Pāho are these initiatives. Firstly, we have a mentoring program for funded artists to use to increase their knowledge about the industry. We also have our social media channels, and we love promoting anything te reo Māori, and especially things that we've funded. If you check into our Facebook or Instagram pages right now, you'll see a lot of music on there, and we can put your song on there as well. We also have a compilation called Whea Taho, which goes to all the broadcasters around Aotearoa to make sure that whea te reo Māori are getting into radio stations and media places around the country. We have a Spotify playlist that we run. We also hold a whea te reo Māori showcase every May for New Zealand Music Month. Here's how we invest the money. The whole left-hand section, development and production, is really where I would expect artists and producers to come to us. As I mentioned before, we provide funding for development of waiata, and then we like to see those demos end up in our production funding rounds for full production funding. And then the other side of this graph is those music organisations and communities. And here's the fun part, the funding rounds. This is where you guys come in. Oro Hapai is for development, and we've got all the waiata funding rounds there if you're looking to get your song produced, released and promoted. Here are the funding round dates. You can find these on our website as well, along with information about how to actually apply.
Do you have to be Māori to apply for funding via TMP?
No, you don't. Anybody can apply. We do have a reo Māori expectation, but you can get a team around you to help with that.
Yes, right. You can get a mātanga reo expert to help translate a waiata if you've got a song in English. And speaking of that, are there certain percentages required to meet the funding criteria?
For music funding, we expect songs to have more than 50% te reo Māori. A whea te reo Māori, by definition of TMP, is more Māori than not.
So, Nadia, just touching on the waiata, I mean, how much can the whānau out there apply for?
We give out grants up to $10,000 per waiata. That includes a video asset to use in promotion at release time.
So that can be a music video, anything?
Yeah, full-blown music production. You might spend, maybe you're a gun producer like Kings, you can produce your own waiata and it's fairly cheap because you've got all your equipment and your expertise right there. And you might spend $9K on producing a full video. Somebody else might want to spend 6K, get into a studio, pay a great producer for their recording, and then 4K for their video. However the creator wants to do that is up to them.
Now the whānau out there are probably thinking, do I need to be a company to register, to be a provider? I mean, what's the story there?
Companies can apply for more money. Music only gives out grants of 10K, so you don't need to be a company to apply for that pūtea. But if you are a company, you can apply to our other rounds at Te Māngai Pāho for big projects like the Kāho project came through one of our diverse content rounds, and that was about music, and we got the album recorded with that pūtea as well as a TV series. So if you're a company, there is an advantage, but absolutely sole traders, individuals can come and get music funding from us.
Now I'm just thinking of those artists out there that can't speak te reo Māori. You mentioned the oro hāpai, which is more about having a hui, having a meeting, having a wānanga to compose a waiata. Tell us more about that. Yeah,
APRA's Reo Māori Song Hubs comes out of the Oro Hāpai Development Fund. More recently we had Machu Saad, he'd put on the Taniwha wānanga, which was 4 or 5 artists in a studio in Auckland, and they had a mātanga reo who helped them develop some songs in the studio, and they got to produce demos out of that. And again, companies can apply for more funding under the Oro Hāpai funding round, but individuals can still come to us.
Nadia, how easy is it to become a registered provider with TMP?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. If you're a sole trader, you just need to log into the website. We need to know your name, we need to know your address, basic details like that. We need a couple of referees, and we also need your bank account details and your tax status.
Te Māngai Pāho fund all the 21 Māori iwi radio stations across the country, so a lot of support for artists if they are funded by TMP.
Yeah, the Waiataho compilation that we put together every month, that goes to iwi radio. We're also happy to share their contacts with the artists, so if someone wants to contact the stations and try and organise an interview, we can provide contacts for that as well.
And I think it's been great with Nadia in the role as Mātanga Pūoro. She's done some amazing things, collaborations with the likes of APRA. Highlight some projects that you've been involved with.
I mean, the Waiata Anthems project has to be the most well-known one that we've done. That's obviously helped Waiata Reo Māori get onto mainstream, don't like that word so much, but onto platforms that didn't have as much reo content before. We funded the Kāho series, we funded Waiata Nation, which played on Māori television, so many things. We've spent a lot of time in the community too, so lesser well known might be some of the wānanga we've had in Auckland. We did one in Tūrangi, we've had one in New Plymouth. So yeah, we get around.
And I just want to highlight those projects because, you know, our Krewa Māori out there, like the Kāho whānau, like the Maimoa crew, they decided to, look beyond just the music. They created a web series that highlighted their recording process, their songwriting process. So if you've got any great ideas like that to expand beyond the music, man, tmp.govt.nz. Right now, we're going to go to the floor for some questions.
The question I had was more for if you're an artist who hasn't started a Te Reo Māori Waiata journey, do you have any advice? What's the best way to get started and how TMP might be able to help with that process?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and we really, really encourage it, and we have worked with people before who haven't. Done a song in Te Reo Māori before. We have a list of mātanga pūoro who we can pair you up with. That's been one way. The other one is ask your friends, because you never know who they actually know and who they can put you in touch with. And even going through that process is really valuable for developing your relationships in the community. Even though you're going to end up with one person who helps you write the song, it's actually the community that gives you the kaha to put it out. Because we want everyone behind you, not just one person. Yeah. So give us a call.
So my question was around the quality of the demo that you need to submit to TMP in order to get funding. Does that have to be professionally studio produced, or can it just be something that, I made in my bedroom?
Our rounds can be competitive, so the better quality the demo, the better example the panelists have when it comes to assessing your proposal. But by all means, a studio demo is a really good place to start. And we have funded songs that have just been recorded on an iPhone. There's been a melody and a couple of guitar chords, because our assessment panelists have got musical nous. They can see that a song has got great form, they can hear that the performer can sing in tune, they can hear that the pronunciation is good. So don't be put off, put in what you've got.
I was just really interested in how many waiata are you funding each funding round, and what does the assessment panel look like?
We fund approximately 10 to 12 songs at any one time, and the assessment panel is made up of people who speak reo Māori and generally natively. It's made up of musicians, some are current but never connected to the people that are applying within the round, and te Māngai Pāho representatives.
It's just another part-time, Nadia. I mean, where are our Māori music artists coming from?
They are coming from everywhere. We're funding people in the South Island, Otipoti, or Tautahi. Currently, most of our projects are coming out of Wellington. And then the next biggest place is Auckland. But everywhere in between, I said that we had the Oro Hāpai people. They did something in Tūrangi. We're getting applications out of there, Rotorua, everywhere. And all ages too.
Yeah, it's great to see Te Nutu picking up an award at the Aotearoa Music Awards last year, People's Choice Award, I think Best Reo Māori Album perhaps. But for those that are overseas, I'm thinking of Sub-Tribe, because the bro Te Auranga Nolan messaged me up for some funding advice. So if they're living in Australia or any other motu around the world, can they still apply via TMP?
We need to fund entities that are based in Aotearoa and have bank accounts and tax obligations in Aotearoa.
Well, kia ora Nadia, thank you very much for your time, for all the wonderful mahi you're doing for our Māori music industry. Big mihi to te Māngai Pāho as well. And to all of our viewers out there, if you want to find out more information, tirohia ki te ipurangi tmp.govt.nz.